So, what if the solution to a city's massive water crisis wasn't some huge, expensive new treatment plant, but was actually hiding in plain sight, up in the hills right above town? Today, we're diving into a fascinating 2015 proposal from Trevor Wicks of Trentech Innovations that suggested just that, using nature itself to solve a really complex problem. 11 meters. Okay, so that's a little over 36 feet. Now, that might not sound like a whole lot, but trust me, when you're talking about a town's water supply, a number like this is a huge flashing red flag. And that's really the big question that was facing the city of Parksville in British Columbia. A drop like this is a screaming signal that your system is under some serious strain, and it means you got to start thinking about water in a completely different way. So what does this stressed supply actually look like on the ground? For the town of Parksville, well, the warning signs were becoming pretty much impossible to ignore. Okay, so you've got this community, just under 12,000 people, and they were getting their water from an aquifer that was clearly struggling. They were pulling out way more water than could be naturally replaced, totally unsustainable. And it's not just an environmental problem. As that water table drops, the risk of nasty contaminants seeping into the drinking water goes way, way up. It was basically a ticking clock. Now, here's where things get really interesting. The alternative solution that was put on the table wasn't the usual, let's build a bigger, more complicated plant. Instead, the proposal looked up to the highlands. The whole concept is called Upland water storage. And the core idea is one of those brilliantly simple ones. You just go to where the water is already plentiful and clean, up at higher elevations, and you create a system to capture and store it right there. You let nature and gravity do almost all of the work for you. And this was the fundamental promise of the whole idea. The potential for a sustainable, high-quality water supply was already there, basically just hiding in the landscape. And maybe the best part? The long-term running costs would be incredibly low. But hang on, how do you get all that water to an entire city without using massive, energy-guzzling pumps? Well, the process that was laid out is surprisingly simple, and it's actually really elegant. Let's just walk through how it works. So first, when there are heavy rains, special diversion weirs skim off the excess water from streams. That captured water then fills up a series of interconnected ponds and lakes. From there, it just slowly seeps into the ground, getting naturally filtered as it goes. Then, a network of shallow wells collects all this newly purified water. And finally, and this is the magic part, siphon pipes carry that water downhill, using nothing but gravity to create all the pressure it needs. And this, right here, is the heart of the whole thing. This simple phrase just perfectly captures the economic and environmental genius of the system. I mean, once the infrastructure is in place, your biggest power source, gravity, is completely 100% free. And the good news doesn't stop with free water pressure. A gravity-fed system like this one creates this amazing cascade of positive effects for the environment, for the community, and for public safety. Just think about these ripple effects. For the planet, you're helping fish habitats and reducing downstream flooding. For the people, you're getting water that is naturally cleaner and cooler. And for safety, you get a super reliable, high-pressure water source for emergencies that's also more resistant to earthquakes. It's just a win-win-win. So, just when you think the system can't possibly get any more efficient, the proposal adds another really clever layer. What if that water flowing downhill could do more than just arrive at the tap? This is where micro-hydro turbines come into the picture. These are basically just small generators that you can pop right inside the pipes. As all that gravity-fed water rushes through, it spins the turbines and boom, you're generating clean electricity. This could easily power the system's own tiny needs and maybe even feed extra energy back into the grid. So when you put this nature-based system right next to a conventional lowland treatment plant, the difference is it's stark. The Upland system uses clean, gravity-powered water, which means high purity and low costs. The other option requires constant, expensive pumping to treat water that's already lower quality to start with. So, with all this really compelling evidence on the table, what was the final ask? What did the presenter actually want the city council to do with all this information? The request actually wasn't for some immediate, expensive overhaul. It was a simple and pretty smart call for some foresight. It was just asking the council to start talking about a backup plan, before the existing system finally hit its breaking point. And the urgency was pretty clear. The groundwater supply was already shrinking, and the risks of contamination were on the rise. Waiting around was no longer a good option. This was a call to create that contingency plan before the crisis hit, not after. Ultimately, this whole case study from Parksville isn't really just about one town's water. It's a powerful example of what can happen when we look to the natural landscape for elegant, efficient solutions. And it leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. What untapped potential is hiding in the geography of our own communities?